The mother in the coffin is called by her baby. People looked completely stunned at that scene, so terrifying and sad at the same time. Tears and amazement at seeing what that little boy was doing made the atmosphere of that funeral more pitiful and sad. The boy became so quiet in his grandmother's arms that she quickly passed him to his father, who, picking him up, could feel how the boy's body was shaking, as if he had a fever. Somehow, that tiny creature could feel what was happening. He felt everyone's pain there. Alex looked like his little one, turned his whole body towards the coffin where his mother's body rested. "Look at the baby. Are you looking for your mother?" "Looks like the demand," people who witnessed that sad moment said. The boy, wanting to know where his beloved mother is, tried at all costs to approach the coffin. Alex, unable to contain the child, approached the coffin where his wife Alice lay, inert and cold. He hesitated for a moment at the thought of placing his tiny baby in front of his mother's motionless body. The closer the man got to the coffin, the more the boy became restless. Alex couldn't imagine how that happened. How was it possible that this young, healthy, lively woman was about to be buried? How did this happen? Everyone in that room knew the love story of those young people. He, Alex Walter, a rich young man, was the son of the greatest farmers in the region. His family owned thousands of acres of land and hundreds of thousands of cattle. His parents were the wealthiest ranchers in all of Texas. She, of Mexican descent, was of unparalleled beauty. Since she was a little girl, she was raised by her grandmother, who was very hardworking. She made Alice a woman any man would want to marry. Alice, in addition to being beautiful, was honest and very polite. Since they were children, those two souls were destined to be together. But this great difference in origin and family roots made this relationship be fought from the beginning. No one thought it would work. But love is always a stubborn bet that follows. Against everything and everyone. Alex's family made an effort to keep him away from that young woman who for them was simple and without birth. Alex's parents sent the young man to study abroad, because there the young man would certainly discover another life and other people. They believed that he would fall in love with someone else and forget that relationship with Alice, which they said was just a youthful whim. Time passed and that love remained alive thanks to the incessant written letters that never stopped coming and going. And after a few years, Alex finished his studies and, contrary to what his parents expected, he remained single, and did not get involved with any other woman. In fact, Alex never doubted for a moment that the woman in his life was Alice. Alex's arrival in their city was quite an event. They were already of age and decided to get married quickly, even without their parents' approval, since their love was so much that they didn't want to waste any more time. To avoid annoying parental disapproval, they decided to move to the nation's capital. There, a few months later, they had their first child, a beautiful baby boy named Ben. Shortly afterwards, Alex's parents sought out the couple and decided that they would forgive them for not supporting them as they deserved. And they also moved to the capital with the intention of being closer to their grandson and accompanying Alice in raising her son. Everything was happening in the most harmonious way between the young mother, the little one, and their parents-in-law. Until one day, suddenly, while Alice was preparing the baby to put him in the crib, she fainted, completely losing consciousness. The young woman was taken to the hospital in an emergency, but the efforts and maneuvers that the doctors performed were useless. And Alice? She surrendered to death. The diagnosis was a large sudden drop in pressure that caused that fatal outcome. Arrangements for the funeral were made, and there was that pitiful scene. A young father, full of life, carrying his 1.5-year-old son in his arms, who grew more and more agitated as his father brought him closer to his mother's recently deceased coffin. Alex asked to open the coffin lid to allow little Ben to see his mother one last time. When the lid of the coffin was removed, the little one jumped with emotion and extended his small, soft hands to his mother and called her in a tender and childlike way. Everyone heard that sob coming out of that little mouth and cried along with it. Alex, very emotional and with teary eyes, contemplated that image of his little son calling his deceased mother. The man started to remove the baby from the front of his mother's body, when he noticed a soft and sweaty moan coming from his wife's body. He approached a little and with great difficulty, he noticed a slight sigh coming from his wife's nose. That news spread like wildfire. Alice was pronounced dead at the hospital, and suddenly, due to her little baby's cries and calls, she came back from the dead. Alice was immediately removed from the coffin and taken to the emergency room, and after being treated, she was released to her husband and son. The investigation that was carried out found that Alice had been poisoned and the substance was found in Alex's parents' belongings. Alice's in-laws planned her murder. They looked for an opportunity to slip into her drink some potent sleeping pills in such quantities as would put her to death. Somehow Alice's body had fallen into such a deep sleep that the doctors thought she was dead and pronounced her dead. However, after some time, and with the calls that her little baby made, Alice regained consciousness. Alice's in-laws were arrested by the police. They kept all the family fortune, and after that episode, the family increased. Well, he got a little sister and they lived happily, far from people who wanted them badly. Did you like the story? So leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any exciting stories like this.